But if they miss, it will impact massively, I think, the market. There'll be a spook factor created from that. Don't think that's going to happen.
All thoughts and opinions shared in this recording belong to the participants. This podcast is meant to inform and educate and should not be seen as solicitation or endorsement for business.
Welcome to the Market Moment. This is Matt here with John.
Morning.
And a lot going on. We're going through a lot of internal systems updates and transitions this week, so it's kind of like all hands on deck week. Everybody's
knock on wood, it's going smoother than normal.
Making some
normal
investments and improvements to set us up for the future and as we continue to grow. So a lot of fun stuff. It's actually not
good
fun
times,
at all, but
good times.
But a lot going on in the market as well.
Yes,
it's been a super interesting year. You know, the story. I won't say the story's. I don't know. I could make an argument the story has changed and that it hasn't changed. But today's a big day because we've got NVIDIA earnings after the close, and so we're going to kind of focus the conversation today on, this AI spend, AI driving the markets, the big tech companies that have driven the markets over the last few years, where we're at today, what we've started to see from, late last year that's carried through and kind of accelerated the beginning of this year. And then kind of just our opinions on where AI is at and where we see it going, and how relevant it is or isn't. So let's start with NVIDIA earnings. I want to get your thoughts on, analysts are predicting another big quarter. I think I saw revenue predictions that were like 73% year-over-year growth.
Yep.
Which is
it's
crazy.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So NVIDIA earnings. What are your thoughts? Not that like what they're going to say, but what are your thoughts on how the stock and the market reacts if they meet or exceed expectations?
All right, so if they meet or exceed, which is just has to happen, right? And we expect it to happen.
And that's not a great spot to be.
No, it's
where
not.
You're like, they have to do it.
It's kind of like gotten to the point now, though, just meeting expectations is not even good enough anymore in some cases, right? I'm more interested in their guidance for the next quarter. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be a massive thing to listen for. So their expectation is they're going to beat, their expectations for the quarter just passed, and they're going to be great on that front. But I think the market will move based on their future expectations more than anything else. Now, flipping the script though, Matt, if they miss, then all bets are off. The market's going to have, in my opinion, would have a sharp sell-off if they miss because the expectation is so high that they'll meet or beat.
Yeah.
So missing is like not a option.
Yeah.
Right. So let's assume that doesn't happen, and they meet or beat. Then I think they have to beat to have a massive impact on the market, like right then. Mm-hmm. Right. Like the after-hours trading, tomorrow morning trading. I mean, if they just blow it out of the water and have an incredible report for the future. Then I think that could be, the other thing I would say, they've had massive growth in data center revenue, right? Which is where they get the majority of the revenue, and that $51 billion in quarter three. So that's kind of required, in my opinion, that a minimum of that is required to sustain the stock's valuation as it is now. But let's backtrack just a second. We've talked about this on the show. 2026 has started with the Mag 7 actually going down a little bit, including NVIDIA. Mm-hmm. They're not overpriced like they were a year ago. So I kind of look at it, there might be an opportunity if NVIDIA slightly beats and has a good forecast that they can actually get a momentum back up because I think they've come down a little bit. The overall broad market has kind of caught up, if that makes sense. And so the Mag 7 has kind of been beaten down a little bit to the point where they are kind of trading at good levels right now. It's not like they're overpriced massively. So I kind of hope we have a beat expectation and a good second quarter expectation. Mm-hmm. And then I think that could help the markets and help NVIDIA stock in
So
general.
what do you think's more likely? I know.
I think it's likely that's going to happen.
Well, what do you think's more likely? Stocks. Two scenarios. Stocks up 4%, down 4%.
I'm going to say up 4%.
Okay. See, I would take the down.
You think it's going to go down?
I think I'm not saying it's going to go down. I think there's just so many nerves.
Yeah.
There's so much anxiety in the market right now related to AI that I wouldn't be surprised at all if they met expectations and the stock sold off 4%.
I wouldn't either, because meeting expectations to me is not good enough anymore.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I'm expecting them to beat, so I'm more optimistic that they're going to, and I'm expecting them to have second quarter optimism. They're still in the picks and shovels of AI.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this AI stock. I heard this stat. Now, our producer's going to wonder where I got the stat from, and I forget where I got it from. But I did hear it. Okay, I know it's there. But it's a very small percentage of the S&P 500 stocks that have actually adopted AI. Yeah. And the expectation is that number is going to just grow exponentially over the next several years, 5-10 years. And NVIDIA is a massive part of that growth. So I think that we had this big explosion. Stocks got overpriced, and a lot of stocks got swept up into this euphoria of these Mag 7 stocks. And then we had this kind of pullback, massive pullback, names like Palantir that have gone down 50% from their high, just things that have, like, in the last 6 months to a year that have happened. And we've had this pullback. And then you look at the PE ratios of the big stocks, the Mag 7, they're suddenly not that far out of line.
Yeah.
They're suddenly not that overpriced.
Yeah, we've seen a multiple contraction.
Which is good.
Because earnings have been solid.
Right.
But we've just seen kind of a re-rating. I think there's like AI exhaustion.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. But like people, like I'm tired of talking of AI.
Yeah.
And this whole idea that, like, hey, we're all just waiting for this point in time where AI just kind of finally takes everything over.
Right.
And it's like when you're a kid and you get a new toy. Right. The excitement and the joy and the time you play with it is so much in the beginning. And then it just kind of becomes one of the other toys.
Just another toy.
And it's like,
yep.
People, you may think I'm crazy, but it's like, that's how I see AI. Like, we've had huge technological innovations over time.
Right.
That just slowly get adopted and become part of everyday life. And they revolutionize certain parts of certain companies and certain parts of your life, but they don't change everything.
Right.
And a lot more stays fairly similar in terms of what's important to you and how you do things. Some things become easier. And it's just like AI, in my opinion, is not going to be any different. There's been a ton of hype around it's going to change everything. Everyone's going to lose their jobs. All the, all these kind of doomsayers on like, this is the one innovation that just kind of puts us over the top.
Right.
And it's just not.
I just don't believe that. I just don't agree with that either.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see how and what it changes.
Right.
I don't think it's going to change nearly as quickly as most people have been kind of acting and talking about. From a real world, there are certain conveniences that it has immediately allowed us to tap into in terms of intelligence and like quick research and like certain things. Absolutely. But a lot of those are like nice to have efficiencies,
right? And
there can be some real, from a corporate perspective, there can be some real bottom line impact there. Yep. But it's not like so revolutionary that you're completely saying, okay, we were going this direction as a company. Now we're hitting the brakes and going the complete opposite direction. It's just, no, we're going to be able to get there maybe a little quicker, a little bit leaner, a little bit more efficiently. But that was true with other technological innovations.
You go back to even the automobile industry when we went from complete human action building a car to machines now taking that over, but it still requires jobs. There's still a big market in that industry. Yeah. But you're going back to the 1930s compared to the 1970s, how things changed dramatically. But I'll even go one further that most of us can remember. The 2000 tech, boom, or if you will, the 1998, 1999, 2000 tech boom. And it was the internet that was the big thing then, right? And how the internet was going to change the world. And it has, because Matt, I can remember, you don't remember this, but I got in the industry. We didn't have this stuff so easily, readily, and the internet has been massively important for the growth of our industry, just for getting information quick and everything from processing to everything. But what happened in 2000 is this craze, this internet craze, and this stock craze. So all these companies were creating domains, whatever, and then everybody just thought every one of them was going to be a rock star and make it, and they ended up failing miserably, right?
Yeah.
2000 to 2002, we had a 80% drop in the NASDAQ because the tech stocks got so overpriced, overhyped.
Yeah.
It was a massive overpricing and then this massive correction. The good news about this particular market versus that, there's two things I think different. This one, it's been basically just 7 stocks, and then there's been the followers. I mean, I could name names like SoundHound, Palantir, and so on that have jumped on, and they're part of the AI move, but they're not that Mag 7, and they've just now joined the party. And they got overpriced. A lot of those stocks, like little names like that, got overpriced. I guess they're bigger now, but you know what I'm saying, got overpriced. But it's not as massive as a deal as 2000.
And the valuations aren't
The valuations
as
aren't
crazy.
near
Like if
as
you look,
crazy.
there's a chart we showed I think a while back. We can show it up on here. But
Yeah.
like when you're comparing the .com to now, just based on the valuations, like we're not as crazy overstretched as
not
we
as
were.
overstretched. And then you go back to forget the tech side, the 2008 financial crisis when we were severely overpriced. Market took a massive crash, 54% from top to bottom. The stocks were valued in massively overvalued at that time. We have come like the stocks that were overvalued have come back down a little bit. So it's not as dramatic. So even though I think there's a chance, and like I said, if NVIDIA were to miss today, there's such a major story. It's probably the biggest stock now, I guess, that we talk about, right?
Yeah.
It's switched between companies, but now it used to be Apple, whatever. Now it's NVIDIA. But if they miss, it will impact massively, I think, the market. There'll be a spook factor created from that. Don't think that's going to happen.
If there's an AI bubble, you know,
Yeah.
That word gets kind of annoying because it's like, how do you define that? But
Yeah.
let's say there's a sell-off in the AI leaders in a more material way. Does that bring the entire market down with it, or do we continue to see kind of like we've seen at the beginning of the year? Now the pullback in those big tech names hasn't been huge. You know, I think the Mag 7's down maybe 10% or something collectively year to date. So it's not been a true like big.
Yeah.
But the rest of the market's done. There's a lot of other companies that have had a really good, start to the year. Does that trend kind of continue even if you look up and it's like, okay, the Mag 7 or these big tech companies are down 25%?
Right.
Or at what point do they start pulling the rest of the market down?
Well, great question. So Microsoft is down 20%, right?
Yeah.
It was over 500 a share. It's down below 400. I don't know what it is exactly today, but it came down more than $100 a share from its high. So that was a massive pullback from a major player name of the Mag 7, right? It did not drag. If you'd have told me 6 months ago that Microsoft would be down, I would have said, man, the whole market's down.
Yeah.
I would have
Microsoft down 20, it'd been like, okay, the market's down at least 5 or 10.
Exactly. I would have said that would have dragged the market down. But what we saw is a broadening into things that were valued properly or even undervalued. And there's a lot of stocks that were undervalued that have kind of everybody's kind of lost track of because it's like, oh, you got to own these Mag 7. You got to own this AI stuff. Right, so a lot of money has shifted where it kind of left some of these great companies, these well-known, wonderful companies, just kind of sitting there, not moving, no excitement, no traction, and now you're seeing that, which I think is we've talked about.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. It's a switch without having a massive pullback.
Well, and you've seen international markets start to work.
Yeah.
They worked last year. They've continued to work this year. So. We talked about it in one of the episodes recently, about diversification. It's like it's working again, finally, kind of for the first time in a long time. And so that's actually been a really positive thing. And, I think if things went too south with the AI names, it's going to drag the overall market down.
Yeah. If all of them,
it's just a matter of like how. It's just a matter of when and where, like how bad do those names have to get before the rest of the market just starts getting overly spooked.
And will AI itself switch from, because there are multiple sectors of AI. You've got the hardware and data centers, which are the NVIDIA, CoreWeave, Micron, Taiwan Semiconductor, and we've seen some movement there. And then you've got the cloud and language model, which is Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon. And then you have your applied. These are the ones that are using the AI to actually get stuff done. And I always use Palantir as a great example because the when we had the Venezuelan crazy thing that happened with getting the president of Venezuela out, and our forces went in there and did that amazing thing. Palantir was a massive part of that. I have no idea how. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know the nuts and bolts of why they were such an integral part, but they were mentioned as an integral part, right? And that's the application of AI. So even inside AI, there are sectors like maybe the infrastructure stuff cools down.
Yeah.
Because at some point you have enough infrastructure, right?
Right.
Like, I don't know when. I mean, maybe it's forever because there's so much need. I don't know exactly, but these are, so it's cool to look inside the AI itself and see if there's different parts of that are going to change. And then how does that affect the rest of the market? Because we've kind of forgotten about the rest of the market. As you know, international's been down for how long compared to U.S. markets?
Yeah.
And now it's finally rising up. You know, small company stocks we've forgotten about because all these large company stocks have just been tearing it. And that's going to become part of it. I think it's fun, exciting for our side. It's a healthy part of the market that it's not
just a few names.
Just a few names that are dragging, because again, a year, 2 years, whatever you go, I would have thought if the Mag 7 were struggling, the market would definitely be struggling.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of not happened, but it could. NVIDIA could change that all today.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like we've been in this trend for several years now of NVIDIA earnings call kind of being the one that everybody's looking at. It's like, okay, where are we headed? You know, which depending on, because it's crazy. I mean, you look at NVIDIA, the major tech players who are investing in AI, saw a report that said like they're investing over 100% of their operating cash flow into CapEx, which is all AI right now.
Crazy.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
So they're all in. And so, which just makes it feel even more so one little thing goes wrong.
Or even they stop doing that, right? Even if the money is, or the amount of money going into it is impressive and it's crazy. But if they start pulling back, that might be that, things are.
Yeah.
And then they start selling. In this market, they can have a great report. They can have even a future bright, optimistic talk, and they still could go down. Mm-hmm. And you were saying that you think 4% down.
I think
is 4%
down is more likely than 4% up.
Yeah, and I don't disagree that is definitely could happen. And the only reason why I combat that is if their future is bright, they've come down enough now that maybe.
But they really, I was looking at their chart. NVIDIA hadn't come down.
NVIDIA's it's not been moving as bad as Microsoft, for example. You're right. NVIDIA is probably a little better.
I don't know.
A little higher price than what I'm giving it credit for.
Yeah. Well, I think, okay, last kind of prediction. This has just been, today we just wanted to kind of get on here and share some of our thoughts and opinions on this, because we're thinking about it, every single day. We talk about it both from an investing standpoint, but also in our business. How's AI going to change our business? How should we be using it? We're implementing different AI tools and resources within the firm. So it's just an ongoing, constant conversation for us. So we wanted to get on here and talk about it. If you had to make one last prediction, in 3 to 5 years, looking back, to February of 2026, would you say that AI is done everything and more than what people are saying it should do, or that we look back and be like, it was fairly overhyped and most of that hasn't come to fruition?
That's a great question, and I'm going to answer it with a terrible answer. I don't think it's going to be as. I think it's slightly overhyped, right?
Yeah.
I think we've kind of going back to 2000, the internet. But think about the internet from 2000, how it has impacted our lives going into today. It is a massive, awesome thing, but we overhyped it in 2000.
Things take longer.
It takes longer
for people to adopt it, to integrate it into their daily, lives. Now adoption has happened pretty quick with AI,
right?
Because it for various reasons, but it's still gonna, I think, take longer. I'm in the same boat. I think 3 to 5 years from now, there's been a ton of innovation and a ton of efficiencies created for individuals and organizations, hopefully ours included.
Right.
But I think we look back and be like, this is still a work in progress. It was overhyped. It wasn't, this point in time because it's felt like for years now, we're just all waiting on this one event to happen where it's like AI just officially takes over.
Yeah.
Like that's the feel of like we're just waiting.
Even in our industry,
we're just waiting for some big announcement or some big innovation, and it's like, oh, that was it.
Yeah.
You know, everything's changed forever, and it's just like,
I think generationally too.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
30 and unders are going to experience a different world than my generation of 50s and older.
But and no, I agree. And no, this isn't coming at you for that, but that's been true for every generation throughout history.
It is 100%
and so
true.
people say that, and this is not that's like the common thing. It was like, well, you know, the next year, but it's like, go back to the 1800s.
No, I agree.
1700s since the and like every generation has had new innovations in technology, and life has been different for the next generation.
You're 100% right. The cotton gin. Go back to the cotton gin, right?
So I don't see why
innovation.
because people will use that as like a, you know, well, this is a pivotal time because the next generation is just not gonna, and that's always been true, and it's always going to be true.
You know,
so it shouldn't surprise us.
No, it shouldn't. I think this is an interesting part of this conversation. When I was in college, the boom of getting computer knowledge, right, was a big deal, right? Any kid that got a degree in computer science or anything was just like destined for massive success, right? And it proved to be true. I wasn't going to go do that, but those who did, they got into Apple and IBM and all these things that ended up, definitely working out. What's funny about AI is that is what's kind of being affected a lot too.
Sure.
There's a lot of people in that space that are losing jobs because AI
can write code
and do those things. So there's going to be a different world of job, where is the jobs you need to have and so on. I think that's where the younger folks are going to have to focus on. I don't think it's going to change the direction of what is the next thing, but it's not going to take away the ability to go get a job and work, like the fear.
Yeah.
But I think the fear has been there. Like, to your point, every major innovation that has come along, the fear of God has been put into society that it's going to take away all the jobs. Everybody's going to be on the street in the soup line. And that's just not the case. There's other things created from the creation of great technology.
Sure. So. Yeah. Well, I don't really know what we accomplished today.
I'm not sure either. This is
we did a lot of talking. I went to John earlier and we were talking about what we wanted to talk about on the podcast. I was like, I really just want to talk about AI because I feel like I can't get away from it, and I just need to maybe it was kind of get some stuff off my chest.
Some venting.
But yeah, it is really exciting. We'll be obviously watching the NVIDIA earnings after the close today, and the market's reaction. So. Yesterday was a good day. Today's opened up positive. So,
by the way, going back to NVIDIA, we're talking about it's up only 55% over the last year.
Yeah,
it's year to date. That's
what I'm saying. It's priced for perfection.
Yeah,
still
year to date, it's up 3.78%, which is
why. See, this is why I think even if they hit or slightly beat, I think it sells off.
No, you're right. And I wouldn't
put any money on that.
I was talking about Microsoft as one of the Mag 7s. Microsoft going back 1 year is flat.
Yeah.
So you think that's a massive difference. NVIDIA's up handsomely, and Microsoft, one of the Mag 7s, is flat. So to your point, NVIDIA may be, in their PE ratio, NVIDIA's is 48. Microsoft's is 24, not to get into the weeds of all this stuff. But yeah, NVIDIA is still priced to perfection.
Yeah.
So they have to be perfect today.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
As always, we appreciate you guys watching, listening. Give us a comment, like, subscribe. Shoot us an email if you have any topics that you want to hear us talk about or, have any questions. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.
The hosts of the Market Moment podcast are employees of Mach 1 Financial Group, LLC. Mach 1 is a registered investment advisor located in Rogers, Arkansas. A copy of Mach 1's current written disclosure brochure is available through the SEC website and available at disclosures.mach1fg.com.